The drums count like a heartbeat, refusing to die 12. Then silence, then the hiss of the tide drawing its knife along the stones. Lantern smoke crawls over the beach. Nets hang like nooses from the palms. Nakira stands where the surf bites, hair slick as river weed, eyes the green of storm glass. Salt stings her lips. She tastes iron. She does not bow. Leave the water unstruck, the blind old woman whispered at dusk. Fingers on the sand, tracing a circle that should never be crossed. The circle is scuffed now. Boot prints grinding the law of the spirits into dust. Laughter answers omen. Fear dresses itself as courage. The men advance. Robe rasps her wrists. Thorns catch her skin, not to bleed her, they say, only to cleanse. The lie is thin as a fishbone. Mboko steps forward, leader's jaw set hard, grief hammered into anger. He lifts the stolen strand of soul pearls, lets it drip cold light across her throat. Show us your mercy, he says, meaning power. The sea withdraws a single pace, as if inhaling before a sentence. Crabs scale the rocks and freeze, claws raised in prayer. In African tales, African folklore, this is the breath before judgment. Nakira steadies hers. The law of water waits to be spoken. The storytelling magic sharpens like a blade. The dawn that followed her drowning rose without sound. No gulls, no wind, only the slow rot of silence spreading from shore to hut. The sea lay still, a mirror that refused reflection. Mboko stood upon the sand, salt whitening his skin, and in his hand the stolen pearls glimmered like a cursed steel wall. He said it was proof of victory. The others said nothing. Their eyes were rimmed red from a thirst that had begun in the night. At first, it was small. The children coughed when they drank. Then the wells sang. The old woman spat dust and croaked. The daughter of Mami Water is not dead. She is watching. They struck her for saying it. Blood darkened the earth, but even that would not sink it clotted on the surface like shame refusing burial. In his hut, Mboko hung the necklace beside the fire. Its light flickered, whispering beneath the crackle of wood. His wife dreamed of the drowned girl standing at the foot of their bed, hair dripping, mouth full of salt. "Return what is not yours," the apparition said. She woke screaming. The air smelled of brine, though the sea was a mile away. By the third day, the fish had vanished. The tide had fled 3 leagues out, leaving behind carcasses split by Sunday children wandered with cracked lips. Men drank rainwater that burned their tongues. "Still," Mboko muttered, "this is only weather." She was nothing. But the wind began to hum a deep pulsing note from beneath the earth, like drums under water. Shadows slid beneath the sand as if something vast moved below. The elders gathered, faces drawn, and for the first time, Mboko felt the air thicken. His skin itched, blistered with crystals. The pearls at his throat were cold enough to frost. From the horizon, the ocean shuddered. Out beyond the reefs, a dark shape rose, a whale or a god, black and glistening. Its single eye opened like a moon drowning in ink. Those who saw it fell to their knees. Only Mboko remained standing, fists clenched, jaw tight. "Let her come," he whispered, though his tongue cracked as he spoke. The ground trembled once, a heartbeat echoing from the deep. The law of the spirit world had been broken. The debt of water was coming due. Sleep abandoned him. What came instead were tides. When Boko's eyes closed, he found himself standing in a sea without horizon, black, soundless, endless. The ground below was not sand, but skulls of fish, each whispering through its bones. The air burned cold, and in the center, upon a throne of coral that pulsed like a wounded heart, sat Nakira. Her hair floated as though still alive. The pearls once bright now hung broken in her hands, threads of light leaking into the water. The circle around her glowed the counsel of the drowned, spirits of those lost to the sea, sailors, widows, children who had never learned to swim. Their eyes were blind, but they saw him. Every heartbeat was a drum. The current itself seemed to chant his name, dragging the syllables through grit. "Mboko of the salt shore," the chorus said. "You broke the covenant of blood and water." He fell to his knees, chest heaving, as if the ocean were pressing against him. "She deceived us," he stammered. "She brought sickness." Nakira's gaze did not blink. Her voice flowed like a blade through silk. "I brought warning. You brought chains." The coral throne bled red light. Around them, the drowned began to hum low, mournful, like a dirge that could strip flesh from guilt. Then came the sound of Mamiwata, vast and unseen. Her voice poured down like a waterfall of judgment. "He who spills sacred water must taste thirst everlasting. Yet mercy still dwells in the current if he dares to swim against it." The sea brightened. Scales of light formed symbols around him, 3 spirals, each turning toward the abyss. The sentence, "He must return the soul pearls to the deep, unbroken. He must walk the salt desert for 3 moons, no drop of water to touch his tongue. If he fails, his soul will turn to salt and scatter with the wind." Mboko trembled. His hands shook as the pearls floated before him, humming softly. "And if I succeed?" he asked. "Then you shall drink again," whispered Nakira. "But your lips will forever taste of sorrow." When he awoke, the world was dry. His hut smelled of brine. His skin cracked white as stone, sweat crystallizing into salt. The necklace lay across his chest warm now, pulsing faintly like a heart that was not his own. He stumbled into the daylight, where the villagers watched him with dread. From the shore, the black whale waded its eye, a silent moon. The drums began again, rising from under the waves. And in his mind, a question throbbed like a wound. "If it were you, would you run or kneel before the water?" The first dawn of exile bled red across the sand. Mboko walked alone, barefoot, the pearls heavy around his neck like judgment disguised as mercy. Behind him, the village shrank into a blur of smoke and fear. Before him stretched a wasteland of salt dunes white as bone, glittering under a pitiless Sunday. Each step crushed crystals that cut his feet open, and his blood hissed where it fell, vanishing before it could stain. The first day, he still believed he could survive. He murmured prayers, half to Mami Wata, half to himself, promising to return the necklace before the third moon. He drank from a flask and spat it out. The water turned briny the moment it touched his tongue. The curse had begun to breathe through him. By nightfall, the desert hummed with sound. Waves where there was no sea, laughter where there was no wind. The stars twisted into the shapes of faces fishermen he'd once commanded, their mouths full of sand. One voice rose among them. The boy he'd lost to the fever, the reason he had cursed the sea. "You blamed her, father," the voice said, "but you struck the wrong god." He wept, but no tears came. The salt had claimed them too. The second night, a storm crawled across the dunes. Rain fell in slanted sheets, sweet, cool, beckoning. He ran toward it, mouth open. The droplets hit his tongue and turned instantly to salt, burning his throat raw. He screamed until his voice cracked, then laughed a sound unfit for the living. From the storm's heart, Nakira's song drifted. You thirst because you chained the river. You burn because you curse the sea. Walk, Mboko, until your shadow is clean. He walked. His legs shook, skin splitting with each step. He saw mirages, an ocean spreading wide before him, then vanishing into dust. Each illusion carved another line of humility into his heart. By the third night, the moon rose swollen and red, the color of a wound about to close. He reached the cliffs, the same cliffs where he had drowned her. Below, the tide churned black and silver, as though the world itself waited for his verdict. On the edge, he collapsed. The pearls in his hand pulsed softly, whispering with the rhythm of waves. Then Nakira appeared not as a ghost, but as the living sea itself, her form woven from foam and shadow. Her eyes glowed with a light that did not forgive, yet did not hate. "You have carried your thirst well," she said, "but words cannot return what you buried. Only surrender can." She extended her hand toward the abyss. "Throw them back, then throw yourself." Mapoko hesitated. The pearls shimmered, each a face of someone he'd wronged, a promise he'd broken. His fingers tightened. He could keep them. He could walk away. The wind rose, carrying the scent of the sea and of her blood. He met Nkira's gaze and understood. He hurled the pearls into the waves. They burst like stars, scattering light across the water. Then he stepped forward and let himself fall. As he plunged, the ocean opened its arms. No scream came, only a long breath, half sob, half prayer. The salt around him melted. The sea accepted what the desert had purified. Somewhere below, the drums began again, slow, solemn, final. The debt of water was ready to be paid. The fall seemed endless, neither air nor sea, only darkness vibrating like a drum stretched to its limit. Then, a shudder. The water rose to meet him, folding him into silence. It was not cold. It was alive. He sank through layers of memory, the shimmer of scales, the flash of torches, the blind eyes of the old woman he had silenced. Each floated past him like fragments of a broken prayer. The pearls he had thrown descended beside him, glowing faintly, gathering into a spiral that led toward the sea floor. When he touched bottom, the council of the drowned was waiting once more, but this time they did not accuse. They watched, silent, unmoving. In the center, upon her throne of coral and bone, Nakira stood. Her chains were gone. Her hair, drifted like banners of war, laid to rest. Maboko knelt. His lungs burned, but he did not fight it. He whispered through the water, voice trembling. I have returned what I stole. If justice demands more, take it. Nakira stepped forward. Around them, the ocean's pulse slowed. 1,000 bubbles rose, each one holding a face, a sin, a memory of cruelty. Her voice rippled through him like current through stone. No ocean drinks blood without tasting grief. No soul steals without fearing thirst. But even the cursed may find peace if they remember why they once loved the water. She raised her hand, and the pearls dissolved into light. It flowed into her chest, then into his, binding them in one final breath. His body convulsed, salt boiling away from his skin, scales forming across his hands, gills opening at his throat. For one eternal heartbeat, he saw what she saw. The world through the eyes of the sea, the hunger of rivers, the rage of storms, the quiet mercy that hides beneath the waves. Then came Mami Wata, vast, faceless, radiant, her presence pressing against his bones. The sentence is fulfilled, she declared. The water remembers. The debt is paid. Her gaze turned to Nakira. You, child of tide and sorrow, may choose his fate. The mermaid's eyes softened. She touched his forehead with 2 fingers. Let him live, she said, but not as man. The sea answered. Maboko's breath burst into bubbles. His legs fused into a single sweep of silver. His skin gleamed with scales. Where a man had knelt, a creature of the deep unfurled, half repentance, half reminder. Nakira's voice, now calm as dawn, whispered the final decree. He will guard the shores he once defiled. He will hear every cry for water and never drink. The ocean surged upward, swallowing light and sound. At dawn, the villagers awoke to find the sea returned, calm and full. Fish leapt again. The air smelled of rain. Yet, near the reef, something moved beneath the waves, a dark shadow pacing the boundary between mercy and vengeance. Children said it sang. Fishermen said it warned. The old woman smiled through her blindness and murmured, That is the guardian. The man who once cursed the sea now keeps it safe. And in the hush between tide and tide, the faint echo of drums rose from the depths, slow, solemn, steady. The law of water had been restored. The living would drink again, but with reverence, every gulp, every drop, a memory of salt and blood. The story ends where it began, on the edge of the world, where the living and the drowned share the same sky and the same silence. Dawn came quiet, as if the world were afraid to breathe. The sea lay smooth as glass, its surface gold under the newborn light. From the cliffs, the villagers watched the tide creep forward, cautious and alive, bringing with it the scent of salt and forgiveness. No one spoke. The drums had fallen silent. Even the wind seemed to kneel. Where the waves once drowned her, a single white shell floated, spiraled, luminous, pulsing faintly like a heart still beating. The blind woman lifted it in trembling hands and pressed it to her ear. Inside, the whisper of Nakira's song curled like mist. A lullaby for the living, a warning for the unwise. Do not strike the water, the song breathed, for water carries memory. Spill this blood, and you spill your own. In the days that followed, the village rebuilt slower, humbler. They tore down the posts where Nakira had been chained and raised a shrine of coral and driftwood. Each moon they brought offerings, silverfish, white flowers, the first drops of every harvest. Children learned to whisper her name before drinking, a ritual of gratitude rather than fear. But some nights, when the wind blew from the west, the waves would glow faintly, the sign that the guardian stirred. Mboko's shape shimmered beneath the surface, gliding through the reefs. His eyes, once hard as iron, now shone with the dull mercy of one who remembers too much. He never surfaced, never spoke, but the fishermen swore that, before storms, they heard a low chant rolling through the depths. Blood, water, debt, forgive. And so the legend of the drowned bride of Mami Wata spread beyond the coast, carried by sailors and storytellers. Some called it an African folk tale, others a curse. But those who listened deeply heard its true pulse, not of vengeance, but of balance. For every act of cruelty, the sea demands silence. For every theft of the sacred, it demands surrender. Yet for every heart that dares to repent, it opens again, dark, vast, forgiving. At twilight, the old woman stood before the waves and whispered the law, voice thin but unbroken. Strength is not in the fist, but in the courage to kneel. The horizon swallowed the Sunday. The drums began once more softer now, a heartbeat instead of a warning. And somewhere beneath, Nakira's laughter rippled through the water, not cruel, not sorrowful, but free. Share her story and keep the law of the spirit world alive. For as long as water moves, so will her memory, and the sea will remember those who dared to repent.